You can begin, Miss Benjamin.
All right, thank you, Harry. Um, okay, so once again, my name is Angela Benjamin, and I'm the director of the NAF Academies at Anacostia High School in Southeast DC, in a what we would call a struggling
Uh,
urban
m-
community.
Miss Benjamin, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the slide deck you guys have up is not the right slide deck.
Well,
Can
this is the one we're gonna have to use.
can you can you just give me 2 seconds and I'll pull up the correct slide deck and I will share screen. This will be really fast.
Okay.
So if you would if you would stop sharing your screen. Okay. Apologies, guys.
All right, so as I said, I'm at Anacostia High School, which is in a struggling community. I think the average family income is 35,000 per year. So we have a lot of partners that work with us to help these young people achieve everything that they can possibly achieve. And like I said, UDC is one of those. I've taught for, this is my 29th year with the District of Columbia Public Schools. I taught for 26 years at Wilson High School, which is on the other side of the city in an upscale neighborhood where I taught many young people that went on to become engineers. I have kids in Cornell and right a lot of powerful young people in that community. But then I decided to retire from teaching after COVID. Right, that was enough for me. And so then I became a director of academies, and Anacostia gave me a chance to do that. And we've been on the road ever since. So um, one of the things we're working on, well, let me just tell you what I'm trying to accomplish today. I'm really sorry for technical difficulties. You know how you lose your students when your tech is not good? Mm-hmm. Right. So anyway, what we're trying to accomplish is to look at, you guys are gonna have a chance to vision at the end, but we're trying to look at your mission statement, your individual mission statement at your school or district, the mission statements of your uh, stakeholders. Every stakeholder involved would bring their mission statement to the table, so we all know what everyone's goal is. All right. You're gonna look at your current partners that you're currently working with in your city, state, town. And some of those partners, what we found works really well is to have a university involved, right? For that overall vision. Government organizations, government agencies, that's also another good place. Industry, of course, we're all after industry, right? Then you need somebody with the bucks, you need somebody with the finances, right? And we're all looking for that person or organization. And then your community. So you need to make sure that your district is on board with what's going on in the NAF Academies. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here if your district wasn't on board, right? You need to make sure that your career tech downtown support is on board with what you're trying to do at your school. One of the things you really, really, really need to make sure is that your principal is on board with what you're trying to do, right? Sometimes principals don't understand what's going on with NAF. And they really, really, really need to understand what it is we're trying to do as NAF Academies and as a CTE, right? Because they should know that kids who are in CTE graduate high school and go to college, right? And so that should compete with core classes, which in one way are preparing students for college, right? But we're preparing students for college and career, right? And the whole point of high school is to be ready to go to your future, which is college and career, and not what physics equations you know. Even though I taught physics and AP physics with calculus and all of that stuff, right? But that's going to help you once you get to college, right? But everybody's not on that same path, right? So that principal buy-in is essential. Does anybody here have like a principal who came with you to this event, right? Okay, and it will make a difference in what happens at your school, right? I see you back there, right? Because principals have so many requirements and things that are put on them by the district that they need to recognize the value of NAF. Okay, and then your partners need to know their roles and your expectations and their expectations. All that stuff needs to be clear, right? Because when communication breaks down, your program will break down. Okay, and as we know, there's always some transition, turnover, right? People leave, new people come in, right? And then a new principal will like, sometimes they throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? And so you need to have that strong community in place. So when the principal comes, he, she can see that you have already put in the work, right? And that you're ready to go forward. Okay, so that's mainly what we're doing. I don't know what's going on over here. But anyway, DCPS has a 5-year strategic plan, and this is how we're getting the backing of our district, right? So in their 5-year plan, they expect to have, well, number one, they want to improve student math performance, right? Literacy, writing, they want to work on that too. But mathematics is the number one academic that in our 5-year plan that the district wants to improve on, so that all kids are ready for algebra in the 8th grade, right? And bringing all the supports to make that happen. And you know, at CTE, if we've got all students ready for algebra in the 8th grade, a lot of our work is done for us, right? And that's not what's happening right now, right? So that's very important. They want to integrate career-ready standards into the curriculum. Okay, so that's another valuable thing, right? If your district wants to integrate career-ready standards, then your principals are going to know about the career-ready standards, and you're going to be able to move forward. They want to enhance student learning through work-based activities that are based on their interest and passion, right? Doesn't that sound like it comes straight from us? Right? Our chancellor, when he first came to the city, he went around visiting the schools. And within 2 days of his coming to DC, he was in my classroom, right? Because of what was going on in engineering and physics and robotics and electric vehicle and all that stuff that's going on in that class, right? So he really is committed to career tech education. So what will this look like? Well, twice as many students will enroll and successfully complete a CTE pathway, internship, apprenticeship, dual enrollment, or earn industry recognition credential. So that's going to be in our like CSC or whatever you guys call it in your district, right? So that shows the level of commitment to CTE on the district level. Okay, and I'm trying to get to the point where, oh, maybe I'm alive, Eric.
Right. So, Miss Benjamin, I don't think any of you guys confirmed that you could see on my screen because I'm sharing it and now I'm on main partner screen. Do you
Yes,
guys see
we're our
that?
main partner. Yes.
Right. Right. So I was on the introduction screen, so I was hoping that you just said go to the next slide. So you can just tell me next slide and then I'll advance to the
Okay.
next slide.
All right. Right. Good. Good. So, can you go back to the one with the urban water so Xavier can talk about that? Oh, maybe it's next. Okay. So go ahead next. Yeah. Xavier, can you talk about urban waters?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So thanks for that, Ms. Benjamin. So in addition to being the director of the CDC Academy, I am the ambassador for the Anacostia River. The Anacostia River runs through Washington, D.C. It separates the east and the west sides of the city. Everything east of the Anacostia River, like Ms. Benjamin mentioned before, is primarily African American and it's primarily lower income. It's Ward 7 and Ward 8. So the high school that we work at, it's called Anacostia River. It's called Anacostia. The park is named Anacostia. There's a train station named Anacostia. There's a library named after Anacostia. Anacostia is the kind of, for lack of a better term, the colonized name of the Nacotchtank, which is the indigenous people of Washington, D.C. of that area. So I'm the ambassador of the river. So being the ambassador of the river is part of a federal government EPA program called the Urban Waters Federal Partnership. And with this Urban Waters Federal Partnership, it connects not just UDC, but Anacostia High School to all of these different federal government agencies that you see listed on the screen right now. And so the partnership that Ms. Benjamin and I have through that extension, Anacostia has more partners. And so we've been able to kind of leverage my role as the Urban Waters Ambassador to kind of do some of the things that we're doing right now, which is the summer internship. So you can go to the next slide, please.
Next. All right. So these are our main partners. Our anchor partners are the Department of Energy and the Environment and the UDC. Okay, but all of these people support us. This is just a symbol for the Public Leadership Academy and the Civil Engineering Academies. Okay, but we're supported by Giant. They provide food, snacks, gift certificates so that we can get food and snacks for the kids. They also provide nutrition training, right? So you can we visit the store and then you look at the brands and you see, this has got so much sugar, this has got so much salt, right? And so the kids are able to go to the local Giant and see, even though they were like, we taking a field trip to the local Giant, we're gonna see people we know in there, right? They were not happy, right? But we went to the local Giant. The police, the DC Police Foundation and the Metropolitan Police support our Public Leadership Academy, right? Where they give us access to the cadets because they want our kids to come in and join the cadets. We have connections and they take us to the Harbor Patrol, the helicopters, the Law Enforcement Museum, the Spy Museum, right? Right? Anything that is connected to public leadership is coming through the DC Police Foundation and the Metropolitan Police. They come and do a K9 demonstration. Last year we went to the ATF, right? While they rappelled down the walls, and we had some real serious K9 handguns. It was like crazy. The kids were holding, that was too much. Anyway, so
Can I add something, Ms. Benjamin?
Yes, go ahead.
Sure. So just to add on to what Ms. Benjamin is saying about the partnerships, one thing I want to highlight here on this slide is that just the diversity of the partnerships. And so we have corporate partners, we have nonprofit partners, we have DC local government partners, and then we also have like federal partners. And so like Pepco and Ponix, for instance. So Pepco is one of our corporate partners, right? And Pepco makes it possible. They fund a lot of the programs that we do with the NAF with this partnership. Ponix supported us with technical support. So if you all were to come to Anacostia High School, if anybody's from DC or if anybody comes to DC, you can go to the basement of Anacostia High School, and we pretty much flip the underutilized classroom into a hydroponics laboratory where the students have started a micro business, and that's with like the collaboration with Ponics. Also, this summer, there's also a Apple. You see apples on here. There's an Apple Propel. UDC and Anacostia have a partnership with Apple, where there's an Apple coding camp happening at Anacostia right now with rising sophomores. And so I just wanted to kind of highlight those things because there's that diversity I think adds to the strength of the partnership and what we're kind of I think the vision that we've tried to collectively put together is a vision of like building out an ecosystem, right? And so if you kind of compare what we have right now, we're trying to mimic a healthy ecosystems, and healthy ecosystems in the environment are like diverse. The diversity is what makes them strong. And so this is kind of what's been kind of highlighted right here is the diversity of our kind of partnership ecosystem.
So next slide, Eric. Okay, so these are the academies that we have. Civil engineering, where the focus is environmental justice, right? So building communities, looking at the structures that make up the community, thinking about, what is it? Right, you know, all the catastrophes and the things that are set up so that these communities are marginalized and poisoned, right? So we're trying to develop advocates who can go out and fight for their community. And that's where their career will lead them. The Public Leadership Academy is our social justice wing, right? How can we use our voices to make change, right? And then this is the new one that we're trying to create, which is the horticulture justice. The teacher wanted me to put that justice in there. Horticulture justice, and the agri-tech comes from UDC. So in that academy, the kids learn about the environment, but how to grow food, how to sustain food. They will be in charge of our greenhouse, where the greenhouse right now is a concrete slab with some pipes coming up. So by the school year, it should be a real greenhouse, right? The hydroponics is there. We have a bioretention garden that we have to maintain. We've got an outdoor classroom, and then we've got 2 internal courtyards that are going to be the baby of Dr. Lyons in her new academy that we got to work to turn into a NAF Academy, right? There's a horticulture NAF Academy in the District of Columbia in Ward 7, and we want to bring one to Ward 8. Okay, next slide. All right, so Xavier or Eric, you're going to talk about the UDC 5-year plan?
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Ms. Benjamin. So essentially, you know, a part of the UDC 5-year plan was to build out a connection, a pathway from middle school to high school that will connect you to UDC, right? And so the pathway or the main pathway that we see this happening is collaborating with the NAF Academy. And so one of the things that UDC is doing in collaboration with Anacostia and DCPS is establishing an early college at Anacostia High School that will work with some of the smartest schools and work with some of the smartest students in the school, but also support the NAF Academies. And we're kind of supporting students from the two Anacostia feeder middle schools, which are Kramer and Sousa, and ideally they would matriculate to Anacostia, and then from Anacostia, you know, they'll be able to attend UDC. And we have all types of scholarships and different programming, you know, different not programming, but degrees that integrate early on with what they're doing on the ground in the high school, in the middle school level. Yeah. And so if you can look at the slide, some of the metrics that we're trying to work, you know, with Anacostia to kind of grow is, you know, the graduation rate, the degrees awarded, workforce certificates, all these different types of things. We're trying to find different pathways for the students. And so an example of that right now is like this summer. I'm virtual, but we're on a field trip right now working with the Earth Conservation Corps. We're working with students from the Public Leadership and the Engineering Academy, kind of exploring environmental careers hands-on and really getting a deeper understanding of the African-American influence on environmental justice kind of in our nationally, but specifically in our region. And so we have a group of students that are working with some Black falconers right now, learning about falconry, right? And how that, how the landscape of falconry is changing as climate change happens. And so we're going to be able to kind of translate those things, back to the work that we do in the city as we continue to grow our partnerships.
Excellent. And the one thing, UDC has 3 institutions in the city. Can you tell us that, Xavier?
Sure. So UDC is the city's only public university. We have our main campus, we have our community college, and we have our workforce development campus. And what we're working to do, I'm the boots on the ground at Anacostia on a regular basis, is the early college that UDC is establishing at Anacostia is connected with the community college. But what we've tried to do, because we recognize that college isn't for everyone, so we're trying to find more ways to, for students says, if they come to me or somebody else at the school, like, hey, I don't think I want to go to college. I want to, go directly to the workforce. How can we connect them to the workforce development college? If there's a student who does want to go to UDC, like we had several students who I helped apply to the university this year, and they were able to get scholarships. They can go directly to the 4-year college. If it's some students who are still trying to fill it out, the community college is an option. And so we've kind of expanded things to have an array of options for the students to make sure that UDC is a good fit for students at Anacostia.
Thank you, Xavier. The 5-year plan of DC I already talked about, right? And this is just a slide about it, but we got to that earlier. All right, next slide. Hopefully this works.
Yeah, do you want me to play the video? Okay.
Yes, please.
Parents of Anacostia, let's wrap. Something big is happening.
I'm on my way to Kramer. This is big for students.
This could potentially be the game changer that we've been waiting for.
A game changer that will make you rethink those other schools.
Is it true that I can go to UDC for free if I graduate from here? I said, yes.
Introducing the University of the District of Columbia Scholars Program, or the Junior Firebirds. A one-of-a-kind partnership between UDC, Sousa, and Kramer Middle Schools and Anacostia High School. Here's 5 reasons why you'll love it. First, if your child goes to Anacostia, they could graduate with a diploma and an associate's degree from UDC in a STEM field like science or engineering. A college degree for free.
That is big. It'd be the first in our family, and it'd also be a blessing.
Second, Anacostia students can earn college credits and go from here to here or any college.
That would impact my life because it will save me much more money than me spending all my money on college.
Third, you and your family could go to UDC's community college for free if your child graduates from Anacostia and goes to the university in a 4-year program.
The parent can engage in developing their own potential at the same time that the student is.
It's giving me an opportunity, but it's also giving my mom an opportunity to finish school, and I know she wants to.
4, UDC will pay for books, computers, and transportation to and from the college. Anacostia Junior Firebirds can get summer internships, tutors, and mentors, and help with career opportunities. UDC is even training teachers at Sousa, Kramer, and Anacostia. Oh, and one last thing. Say your child graduates from Anacostia, then gets a bachelor's from UDC in 5 years. They'll get $10,000.
I think parents should understand how important the UDC Scholars Program is. You can't get it at a charter school. You can't get it at any other high school in the district.
Know what else you can't get at those other schools? 3 schools working as one. Sousa and Kramer feed into Anacostia. So all 3 share what works to fully prepare your child for the next level. A middle schooler can take high school classes. A high schooler can take college classes. It's like an entire village helping you raise your child, from childhood to adulthood, with help from a university like UDC.
I've seen the partnerships between the high schools and the universities, but I've never seen it to step back to the middle school.
Very few middle schools have partnerships with colleges. To be a junior Firebird, while you're still at middle school is an opportunity that is rare but also unique and important for Anacostia parents and Anacostia students.
We told you it's big, and it's got big sponsors.
When we partner with anchor institutions like UDC, know that we're now creating and filling the pathway, not only for them to go to college, but to have careers that they can be proud of and potentially change the course of their family's future. So this is deep. This is deep for us.
It all comes back to access to college, access to career. And we've been able to do both by our partnerships, mainly and especially with the University of Michigan.
We are working together as a village to really support our students.
I like to look at us as the family cookout. Every representation of the family cookout is represented here, but we all reach the goal of student achievement and student first.
And at the end of the day, if you think about it, this idea that we call America, just can't happen unless what we're trying to do in Anacostia proves to be successful. We have no other interest other than to be able to enable every member of the Anacostia community to reach their highest levels of human potential.
So part of this is about how we went from the place where that was UDC's former president, and that was our former principal, right? That we have to now sustain that with the new president and the new principal, right? Which is why you have to form something that's so strong that they can't ignore it, right? That they can see the value of what is already being done. Okay, so this is what happened last summer with our students. They joined with this lady who is amazing and writes children's books. And what's hers called? Well, Conservation Nation paid for it. NatureWise is her company, and the kids went to all of these sites, and then they put together this book, which you can buy on Amazon. The students thought up the title, right? They developed the title. They wrote the articles and the poems and the stories that are inside the book. Like one would be What You Don't Know About Me, right? And those are some very deep stories. And then what I would be if I was a bird, what I would see, right? So it goes from a younger audience to an older audience. And these guys, we went on a book tour. It was amazing. The kids from Capitol Hill Day School, which is on the entire other side of the city, they got our book and invited us to come talk to them, right? So Xavier, you have anything to say about this?
Of course. Yes. So that was an amazing experience. The students, they all became published authors. We did that in the summer of 2023. It was I think it was life-changing for a lot of students, because I think one of the things that's not really talked about, and probably all of the other CTE kind of leaders and educators can kind of recognize, is that the confidence in students. Some students, depending on their background, they may come off as braggadocious or overconfident, but kind of when you peel back the layers, they might be lacking in confidence. And one of the things that we were able to see through the time spent together during the summer is to see their confidence grow. And then after this summer, like as Benjamin mentioned, when they kind of went on their book tour, their confidence grew even more. They got to read their poems, they got to read their speeches, their confidence grew even more. They were on the news, their confidence grew even more. And I think they got to see and receive the love and appreciation and gratitude from the community, right? For something good that they had done. And they got to recognize that, man, if we kind of stay on this path, I think all types of different doors can open up. And so This program right now, we're actually we're doing it right now. It's expanded, and we're working on currently this summer as I speak, having experiences and learning opportunities to write another book this summer. So I'm definitely excited about this program, and I think this is just a good example of like what solid partnerships can create.
Yeah, the kids even got to experience paparazzi, right? There was flashes, cameras, and all that stuff. It was really amazing. One of the things is this idea of the in summer internships really started with like Jillian Blair, who was the former engineering teacher. She said, we've got these amazing ninth graders, and we want you all to give them a big experience, something that will grow them, right? And that was what our first interaction was with these internships that are on site at Anacostia, right? Or in the local community. So the kids do not have to travel, right? They just report to work, right? Which is also a big thing, right? You don't have to, as a NAF director, I don't have to chase them all over the city, right? They're right there in my building. Okay. Anyway, this was outstanding. Next slide. Eric, you there? There we go. All right, so these are some of the things we've been doing. The Green New Deal, some young ladies from School Without Walls contacted us and asked us if we wanted to participate with them in presenting to the city council. And our young lady here, Ms. Borum, she worked with them, creating her testimony, and then they all three testified in front of the DC City Council about the structures in their building, right? This water fountain's not working, this bathroom's not working, this plaster's falling down, this carpet's torn up, this, whatever, right, was going on inside their buildings. But we talked to the principal first before we talked to the board, right? Because, dirty laundry and all that, right? You want to know what's coming, right? So he was talking about the hydroponics and 16th Street Greens that comes through another internship that we have. That was Mayor Bowser's initiative for advanced internship programs. I don't know if that's the right word for that, Pete, but advanced internships, right? Where all seniors in the District of Columbia have an opportunity to participate in an internship that goes from November to May and pays them $17 an hour. And because it's associated with CTE, they can get credit for the 4th level CTE course, right? And so our first year, we only had 2 kids in it, and they didn't do too well. This past year, we had, how many, Xavier?
This past year, in the AIP?
Yes.
In the AIP, we had 6.
We had 6.
During
and they
the
did
school year,
very well.
Yeah, they did.
What
They
did
did
they do?
amazing. So
What did
they
do?
created they did a bunch of stuff, but they created a small business in the basement of Anacostia High School. We turned the underutilized classroom into a hydroponics laboratory. So we have 3 different kind of growing hydroponic growing styles that are happening at Anacostia currently. Excuse me. And so we have a hydroponic kind of grow tower that we can grow, if we're at full capacity, probably maybe between 30 and 50 pounds of 30 to 50 pounds of microgreens on a weekly basis. And the students decided to come up with the idea to start making salads and selling those to other students in the school, staff and teachers in the school, but also the community at large. So these are all seniors. So before they graduated, they were able to have a salad sale. And so in addition to that, they presented at a citywide urban agricultural conference called Rooting DC that was held at Anacostia High School, where they did an amazing job. And they were the first cohort of students to kind of pick that 16th Street Greens program off at Anacostia, and now this rising group of seniors are going to take over the mantle and kind of take it to the next level. But it was amazing.
And that also has a connection to 4-H, because we're working on our 4-H CTSO at Anacostia, because our focus is so much on the environment and sustainability, food, agriculture. Okay. We also, the Department of Energy and the Environment, they sponsor this electric vehicle Grand Prix, where the students are, you pay a registration fee. The students are provided a kit. They worked with UDC engineers, students, to build this electric vehicle, right? And then we raced it, and the vehicle goes about, I don't know, 30 miles an hour. And you have to drive it as long as possible on one charge, right? So the point is, can you balance the amperage, the voltage, and the technical parts of the race, right? In our first year, we won rookie team. Second year, we had a little trouble and didn't quite make it. And then the third year, here we are finally with a painted shell that was done by our art teacher. And we were driving around the hallways, and it was quite exciting, right? Next slide. Okay, so this is UDC's strategic plan. Maybe a lot of this has been discussed. What do you think, Xavier?
Yeah, a lot of this has been discussed already, but just to break it down just very briefly. So DON stands for Developing America's Workforce Nucleus, and essentially, one of UDC's goals is develop kind of really to cultivate the brilliance that's at Sousa, Kramer, and Anacostia, and that's our ways of developing America's workforce nucleus. But we kind of went over all of these types of things already, so we don't have to. I think we can go to the next slide. Right here is just some of the signature programs that we have going on. So we have the ag technology, we have the summer internships, GZEP is a partner program, 16th Street Greens, the EV Grand Prix. So these are all programs that Ms. Benjamin has already mentioned. You go to the next slide. And this is just our strategic plan. And we kind of already, to a certain degree, we already talked about all of this and how we, the problems, the activities, and the outcomes, and how we actualize these things. So I think over the past 2 years, Ms. Benjamin has really led the way to developing this, and all the partners have come in to support what's been happening at Anacostia. Go to the next slide, please.
All right, so how do you replicate this, or how do you make this happen? This picture is an old picture from when I was at Jackson Reed, which was then known as Wilson High School. That was the year I won the Excellence in Teaching Award from the District of Columbia Public Schools. So this is like a stock photo from my class at that time, where we were actually in the basement at UDC. When they rebuilt Jackson Reed, Wilson High School, we were in the law building on the UDC campus, right? And that's where we did school for a year. Anyway, so as I told you, your mission statements are very important. As you've seen, we talked about that. UDC's mission, I don't have the Department of Energy and the Environment's mission up here, right? And your school mission, and how those things get wrapped together to drive change, right? People don't even know their mission statement, right? I mean, it's written out there, but when employees come to your school and they come to interview, that's what they see. When they look, they want to know, like we ask the people, why Anna, when they apply for our school, and they go right to our website and talk about our mission statement, right? So a mission statement is something that should live and breathe, and not just be something that's on a piece of paper, because outsiders are seeing it. The big vision, there you need somebody like the president of UDC, right? Somebody who has a 5-year plan, right? A vision of how they want to change a local community, right? You need that kind of vision to sustain a program. And then it's partner based. PEPCO, as they said, they've given us a huge grant to make these things happen, and like Apple and all of that stuff. And then building a sustainable organization, one that can stay and change, right? Because as you know, there's going to be change at any school. All right, next slide. Okay, so as I said, the big vision, agencies or industry or university with the power, right? You need somebody with power that can generate change, right? And then for us, that was President Maurice Eddington. We need a web of community partners, your academy goals, your industry partner list, partner roles and expectations, and current and future plans. And this is the part we're going to vision on, is this part right here, along with your mission statement. And that's what the big sheets of paper are about. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is what I drew. First, I drew it by pencil. But my mind is kind of complicated, right? So I drew this to represent all the connections that are going on at Anacostia, right? From the high school redesign, which started with DCPS. They redesigned the high schools in Ward 8. They put us all together in one cluster, which was lovely. All the schools in Ward 8 were in one cluster. High schools weren't in the high school cluster. The middle schools weren't in the middle school cluster. We were all in a cluster together. And each high school developed a redesign plan, and ours was based on 3 big bets, which was Academies, which is what brought the Engineering Academy to Anacostia High School. The Public Leadership Academy had already been in existence. It just got NAF. All right, problem-based learning, and the Dream Team, which is individual adult mentors for students. Okay, so that was what led to the whole thing. Okay, and then we got the Academy of Engineering and Public Leadership and Horticulture. Then our anchor partners in that process were UDC and the Department of Energy and Environment, with a lot of help from Urban Assembly, with the New York City, right? We went up to the Harbor School. We went up to see what other people are doing in this field. Yes.
So kind of a 2-part question. Can you explain how your school identified which business partners they wanted to connect with? And how does your school go about securing those business partners?
And that is a really good question, because some of it predates me, right? So I don't really know all the details. I know that the community got together on the redesign, right? So the whole community was polled, the students, the parents, all the people in the community, right? And so I know that these 3 were involved at that point: the Urban Assembly, UDC, and the Department of Energy and the Environment. And I don't know how they all came to the table. That question I don't know the answer to. The police, that had the police department and all of that came from the public leadership teacher, who had been out there knocking on doors and creating things and doing things before NAF came to the building. The UDC came to us, right? President Mason came to Principal Haig, and they coordinated together and dreamed together to join into partnership. And then some of the partners come through UDC, like Urban Waters, the Department of the Interior, and Department of the Interior, and ATF came through the principal. right? Because he always wanted to be an ATF agent. He had a buddy, right? So stuff like that happens. Right, so does that answer your question in any way? Okay, like I brought some, people email you and you say, yeah, what's the next step?
So like, what if people aren't emailing us?
That is a good thing. Good question, right? Right. Right, and the opposite thing is happening for us, and that's because we are in Ward 8 and we are Anacostia, right? And so everybody's trying to pour resources into that community, right? So that's an advantage that Anacostia has, right? There's lots of disadvantages, but that's an advantage. Yes.
Offer just one comment. No, Xavier, I didn't have a loud voice. Basically, partnerships are pretty easy to establish, really among, corporate and community partners. They're really looking to give back, and many corporate entities have clauses within their statements, within their mission statements that say they have to give back to the community. So we leverage those, mission statements and say, hey, here's an opportunity for you to actually provide a service to the community that's actually supporting your business. And they will gladly, you have to come up though with those opportunities. You can't just go to a partner and say, we want you in our schools. You need some specific asks. Just don't go and say, we want you to partner with us and let's brainstorm. Not a good. You need a specific ask from that individual partner, whether it be an internship, a work-based learning opportunity, a guest speakership, some kind of partnership, tour of your facility. We'd like a long-term, partnership with you, financial contribution, if you can, but before you ask that, let's get you involved and get to know our school, get to know our students, get to know our mission and what we want to do and the programs that we're offering to our students. So they're really willing and they're out there, they want to give. You can approach them and they are very approachable. We've done it time and time again. And they have these clauses in their vision statement. So leverage that, really.
Right, to have a job fair, a career fair, right? And leverage. Yes.
We were lucky enough to get with our Jackson City, that's our city chamber, the city chamber, and who's in contact with all businesses. And the city chamber kind of sent some people our way as well.
Chamber of Commerce.
Your restaurants association, there are myriad of organizations that will give back to the community. They're looking for these opportunities.
The centerpiece for the redesign, how long ago was that?
I think it was
it's been going on.
It's been ongoing, right? But 5 years for Anacostia, right? And it was funded up until this year, which is not funded anymore, right? So we're on our own in that sense. You're welcome. Yes.
Can you explain how the middle school students take the high school courses?
That is a new component. I can tell you what the high school kids are doing, right? Which is our 9th graders have taken most of the coursework for 10th grade. Once they got identified in that second semester, they were taking 10th grade classes, right? And so now most of them have everything they need in 10th grade and they're ready for 11th grade, right? So I would have to, Xavier, do you know anything about that? Or Eric?
Repeat that, Ms. Benjamin. No, repeat that.
About the high school, the middle school classes. How can a middle schooler get high school credit? That was the question. Okay, we gotta work on that answer.
I'm sorry, can
All
you
right.
repeat that, Ms. Benjamin?
How a middle schooler can get high school credit. That was in the video.
The middle, I think that may have been so that the middle schoolers, I believe, from my understanding, won't get the high school credit until they get to high school. But I don't believe, at least as far as the meetings that I've been a part of, that a middle schooler will be able to get the high school credit before they're in high school. But high schoolers will be able to get college credits through the early college program, through the dual enrollment program that starts at next school year. So once they enter the 11th grade, they'll be taking classes at Anacostia and at UDC.
Right, and the middle schoolers, I know that the chancellor's 5-year plan wants all 8th graders to be in algebra, right? And that is a high school course. So one of the things that really benefits us in DC is that the whole city is rowing in the same direction, even though not all the time because there's problems, right? But on paper, we're all rowing in the same direction, right? Okay, so this is my visioning, right? And I want you to try to vision what it is that your components do, right? I have CTE and what that component does. I have NAF and what that component does. I have our state office and what that component does. I have the 2 components from UDC and what they do, and the DC, the Department of Energy and the Environment and what they do, right? So if you can vision about what is currently going on in your district or not going on, or what you would like to go on, right? That's what the sheet of paper is for. Okay, next slide.
Can I add one thing to Ms.
Yes, go ahead.
One thing I think that we were able to take advantage of in DC, and I know every city and jurisdiction is different, is that DC has the way that I look at DC is like it's a big puzzle, right? And there's a lot of different pieces, and so that exist. Some of them do a lot of the same things, and so what I think we tried to do is take advantage of like the puzzle pieces, right? So we want to have a summer internship. We know that CTE has a program, but also there's the Marion Barry Summer Youth Employment Program. There's also the AIP program. So how can we kind of integrate or coordinate the stuff that we're doing at Anacostia with UDC with these other programs, right? And so just I think one of the things that as you all are doing your brainstorming and mind mapping is like, what programs exist or exist in our city that we know about or we think that might exist or we don't know about, and write those down. And even if you don't know if they exist, those might be like, seeds of an idea that you can go research. Is there a summer youth employment program? Is there a school-based internship program? Is there a workforce development program that works with students? All these different types of things. And what we've tried to do is just take advantage of every program that DC or UDC has available for us and try to integrate that into the work that we do. So those are like some things to think of as well.
Thank you, Xavier. Next slide. Right, so these are questions you can think about as you're visioning, because this is our next to last slide. So how much time you guys think you need to vision? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? No minutes? All right, 5 minutes. All right, so talk to your table, talk to your people, and see if there's anything you can come up with. Mission statements. Get your mission statement. Yeah. And
Thanks for like that. It's not that thinking personally shapes and what their lives influence so good and my own friends and it's also like similar and so as I mean. It's so beautiful to change our I'm following you there. All right, moving to on the board where you used to check out the security thing or the.